what you're really asking is like, so when the current like crop of the guys you consider that we talked about an MVP as the best player in the league are like aged out, is he going to be at the top of the group that is ascending now, or that is, on the younger side? Like, so that means he's got to be better in a couple years than Luka, SGA, like Giannis probably, or, I'm sure I'm forgetting guys, but just, going through the list of guys that are not going to, LeBron will be gone. Curry will be gone.
Will they?
Durant, Kawhi, like all these guys are going to diminish to where you don't talk about them that way. You got to think about Tatum and Booker and like how much better might they get over the next couple of years. I don't know what the percentage chance is. Absolutely, Wembanyama can be the best player in the league. And I think if I had to guess, he could do it as soon as like his third year, maybe. I don't know if it would happen next year. That seems like wildly ambitious, but I wouldn't rule it out, right? Like if he is far and away the best defensive player in the world, which could, like, I would be surprised if that weren't the case next year, and he gets a little better offensively, then you're already talking about, well, he's like top 3 or 4 MVP. So, and that's in his second year. I mean, that's an optimistic outlook, but it's hard for me not to be optimistic about him. We don't really talk about this stuff that often, but like the makeup and his approach and like his maturity and all that stuff, like you're not going to have, I have no concerns about him not having like the right, off the floor stuff. I don't have any of those worries. So yeah, I don't know what exactly like the debate really drills down to, but like, yeah, he can be the best player. I would be surprised if he weren't in the conversation as soon as his third year.
When did LeBron enter that discussion, do you think? Was he
question.
there by year? Because, I mean, he was kind of, Kobe was still there at that time, or at least people had him in that tier of player. LeBron was certainly the best player in the league by his 5th season. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's right.
When was his first season as the best player in the NBA? Because his first MVP came when? Was that 2000? And he won MVP first, and he finished in the top 10 of MVP voting during his rookie season, by the way. He didn't win his first MVP award until 2009. So that was his 6th season. He was top 5. He finished second in 2006. So at age 21, I think he had a case to be the best player in the NBA. Feels fair, because he certainly wasn't there as a sophomore.
No. And I think next year is when we're going to have to start like really, really having I can't get there in the second year, but I think the third year feels like the magic number to me. If it's going to happen, we'll have a really good idea by then, I think.
But what I also wanted to say here is people are undervaluing his offense, because I think of what you look at the numbers now and they're still a little unimpressive. Mm-hmm. But like, he is above league average true shooting. He might even be there now, but he's above league average true shooting since the Spurs moved him to center. This is staggering to me. Since they made him their starting 5, he is shooting 45% on pull-up 3-pointers. And he has made more pull-up 3-pointers during this stretch than D'Angelo Russell, just as a name. He's made more pull-up 3-pointers during this stretch than Kawhi Leonard. Like, that's legit. And he's taking some tough shots. The freedom to explore absolutely matters. But by the way, and this shift has been, I feel like it's been starker of late, but like the Spurs are running stuff through him as a facilitator. And so among bigs who averaged at least 25 minutes per game during the month of February, do you want to guess? Do you want to guess how many had a higher assist rate than Victor Wembanyama?
I mean, you'd have like Jokic. It would be,
That's one. How many can you? How many can you guess? So there's Jokic. There's
like Bam.
No.
So I'm already blown away that he's got a higher assist rate than Bam. I don't know who. What is he? Is he top 5?
He's top 5. So Bam probably doesn't make the cut here because I filtered it for 6'10" and over. So like, he has a higher assist rate than Alperen Şengün, than Kevin Durant, than Nurkic. It's Jokic, Giannis, Domas, and Paolo Banchero are the only bigs who averaged at least 25 minutes a game in the month of February with a higher assist rate. And so, Wemby's turnover rate can be a little bit higher, but like, you know what? 14% during that stretch, given what they're trying to run through him, there's an offensive ceiling here that I really just don't think people are accounting for. And even so, they run a lot more stuff through him at the elbows. And so just among players, and this is, by the way, I'm not even breaking down a segment. This is for the entire season. Among everyone who is averaging as many elbow touches per game as Wemby, there's only 4 total players, including Wemby, that have an assist rate from the elbow of at least 20 with a turnover rate below 5. It's Şengün, it's Jokic, and it's Pirtle, and then there's Wemby. And so this is all just, yes, some of it's cherry picked, but like an assist rate of 20 plus with a turnover rate below 5, like that fucking matters, especially when you're getting some actual volume at the elbows. Now, I will say he's getting fewer elbow touches per game on the season than Şengün, Pirtle, Jokic, but like I'm talking about on the season now, Grant. This isn't, just since when he was moved to the 5, or this isn't just since February. Like this is the entire season. So there's another, and when you're even talking about him in the context of versus Chet Holmgren, that might actually be what separates him from Chet Holmgren, is more than anything, is the fact that he can, and again, I don't know how much of this is the freedom to explore, the license to explore, but like he can create his own shots, and he's also setting teammates up in more complicated ways or as the hub, whereas Chet does not. Now, is that a function of Chet's role or a lack of ability? I think it's probably a combination of both. They're never going to need him to do that in Oklahoma City when you look at how they're built, but it's also why, I'm sure you saw the rumors that the Spurs are ready to make a run at Trae Young over the summer. And part of me is like, if you have Wemby on defense and Trae's just there and he's going to give the level of effort that he has the past year and a half or whatever, that'll work. And I'm also kind of like, that will dilute what Wemby's doing on offense. And I don't need to see that, because I really do think, and it's even, you could throw this out the window and just say, like, there's a chance that he becomes Giannis was the best player in the NBA at some point without having the deepest offensive armory. I'm not getting into he has no bag, but he's been the primary initiator, but it's never in ways like he needs to get going downhill, where it's Wemby can do that in other ways. I'm not saying he's better than Giannis right now. I'm just saying if someone like Giannis can get to be the best player in the world for multiple seasons at a time, while being more of just like this force of nature on offense and then the best defensive player in the league, Victor Wembanyama can absolutely do the same thing, especially if he's going to be tasked with doing, I don't want to say more complicated stuff, but just more, like have a more comprehensive offensive package. And I think the people who believe, even if they think Wemby can be the best player and they don't think it can happen on the same timeline that it did for LeBron, just because Giannis's role, it took him a while to get there. Same with Jokic, because one, I think with both those guys, the national public just took too long to catch up to them. But the other thing was they were brought along more gradually, where there's been layers to Victor Wembanyama's role and usage this year, but it's been very much overall baptism by fire when you look at the entire package. If you want to, like, this is someone who could be the best player in the NBA by, I'm not going to predict it next year, but kind of like when LeBron entered the discussion year 3 and year 4, he could be better than Luka. He could be better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at that point. And I think that people just look at him as like, well, it's because of what he's doing on defense. It's no, there's a superstar offensive player here. And this isn't Anthony Davis level play finishing either. Like, Davis has never really expanded his game beyond the confines of being a play finisher. And when he does, with the exception of the bubble, it doesn't always go well. Like, we're already seeing Wemby do a lot of stuff when you look at it as a facilitator that Anthony Davis has never really been tasked with doing. At least that's anecdotal. I didn't dig into the numbers and look at AD in New Orleans.
Think about, though, what we've just discussed, right? Like what you said, the names we've thrown out. Like, well, it's Şengün, Giannis, Davis. Like, you could throw whatever else. But the thing is, you're saying, yeah, he'd be like those guys who are super different, except could do more. Like, this is why comparisons fail with him, because there's no such thing as a guy who can be the best elbow facilitator in the league, the best rim protector in the league, the best off-ball defender in the league, the best pull-up shooting big in the league. Like, that guy does not exist. So it's like, I think the fact that we have to invoke so many different players that are great at certain things but have real weaknesses and still come up saying like, yeah, he's kind of like them, except like doesn't have the flaw. Like that might be the best possible argument for like, of course this guy's going to be the best player in the league if he doesn't get hurt. Like, maybe we should just forget the injury thing. Like, who cares? Like, of course, yeah, everyone could be great if they didn't get hurt. but like he is, you can't find a guy that you're like, he's just like this guy. And that's been true like from day one, really, in terms of his potential. Is like, yeah, he might be as good as Anthony Davis at everything Anthony Davis is good at, except also he's a better pull-up shooter and he's better off the, like, there's no guy out there you can point to that is like a good approximation for him. And I think that's probably the best endorsement you can give him.